And I've never really spoke politically for many reasons. One, I'm not a genius at it. So it's hard for me to speak up if I don't know. Then I'll just be contributing.
It's very humble of you and honest.
It's stupid for me to come and play if I don't know what's going on. So I want everybody to know that I'm sitting here as an average American, one who's seeing what's going on in passing, speak from the heart. So before I even speak about how I feel about Joe Biden, what is your feeling about Joe?
You know, my feeling about Joe is I actually, maybe much less than other Republicans, spend a lot less of my airtime sitting around criticizing him, because I don't even think that in any real sense of the word, he is the operative president of the United States. I think he is, like so many politicians, a figure. He's a puppet for this managerial machine that sits underneath him. So it's like a bad version, a nightmarish version of like the Greg Popovich San Antonio Spurs, who's actually playing whatever role they're playing, and he just happens to be really the instrument, the puppet who's playing the role of the U.S. president. And viewed as such, see, a lot of people wonder, well, why would they nominate this man who has this many cognitive deficits or is unable to construct full sentences? In some ways, for the people who are operating that machine, and that's not one person who's like the Wizard of Oz sitting behind the scenes, it's a whole machine. It's actually more convenient when the president doesn't have independent thoughts of his own, when the president itself is just a cog in that wheel. Yes, we could go through all of that. It wouldn't be that different than what many of the Republican politicians could tell you. But I think the reality is actually far more interesting and far more important to the country, which is that the idea that this is one man who's actually calling the shots as the leader of the executive branch is a farce. He's not. The people who were electing to run the government, that's the myth we tell ourselves in America today. That we tell ourselves, we go through these elections, the people we elect to run the government, they're the ones running the government, then we hold them accountable. It's all a fairy tale. The people we're electing to run the government, they're not the ones actually running the government. It is this managerial bureaucracy, this machine that's independent of the people who we elect. But the people who we never elected are the ones really pulling the strings. And so what I think of Joe Biden, I think he's a puppet. And I think for that reason, he's mostly irrelevant. And I think a lot of the focus disproportionately, like even in the Republican primary process, the pledge they had all the candidates sign is the Beat Biden pledge. As I signed it, I kind of scoffed. I mean, you had to sign it to be on the debate stage, so I signed it. But I kind of laughed to myself because it reflects the way in which the Republican Party is itself missing the point. I think there's a very good chance Joe Biden won't end up being the nominee by the time we get there. The puppet masters are slowly losing their use for him when you stop being useful even as a puppet. But I think that's what I think is really going on with the Biden issue.